You know, we throw around the word end all the time. The end of the day, the end of the line, the end. But what if I told you that simple little word is actually hiding four completely different, really profound ideas? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the ancient Greek concepts tucked away inside the word end.
So, let's ask the big question. What does the end really mean? Is it just when something stops? You know, the last page of the book? Or is there something more to it? Like a goal, a purpose, maybe even a state of perfection? Well, you see, it turns out the answer totally depends on which end you're even talking about.
Okay, so here's where things get super interesting. In a language like Korean, just one word, kut, handles all of these different ideas. But if you go back to the original Greek of the New Testament, you find at least 4 separate words for it. You've got Eschatos, Telos, Teleo, and Teleoo. Each one paints a completely different picture.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll tackle the simplest idea, ἐσχατος, which is just the final thing in a list. Then we're going to go deeper with telos, the end as a goal or purpose. After that, we'll look at the action words, teleo and teleoleo, that describe how we get there. And finally, we'll connect all the dots and see why this matters so much.
All right, let's jump right in with our first word, eschatos. Now, this is probably the one you're most familiar with, the one that pops into your head when you hear the end.
So, eschatos is pretty straightforward. It just means the last thing in a line, the end of a sequence. You know, like the last person in the checkout line, the final day of your vacation, or the very edge of a map. There's no deep, hidden meaning here. It's just the last one. And you can see this all over in biblical texts. The last day, that's just the final point in time. The last trumpet, the final sound in a series. And when death is called the last enemy, it just means it's the final thing on the to-do list of things to defeat. It's all about that order, that finality. Okay, so now let's move on to our next word, telos. And this is where the whole idea of the end starts to get way more interesting.
But hold on a second. Is an ending really just about being the last thing in line? I mean, what about the reason for the line in the first place? What about the goal you were working towards the whole time?
And that question leads us directly to telos. See, telos isn't just the stop sign at the end of the road. It's the destination you were driving to. It's the end, but as a purpose, an objective, the whole point of the journey. In fact, this is where we get the word teleology, the study of purpose.
This is maybe the best way to think about it. Eschatos is the finish line. You cross it, the race is over. It's a physical point. But telos is the reason you even ran the race. It's the trophy, the personal best, the charity you were running for. One's just a location, the other is the whole motivation. And check out how this plays out in these verses. In Timothy, the telos, the whole point of the command, is love. In Romans, Christ is the telos of the law, its ultimate goal and fulfillment. And this last one is so powerful. When it says Jesus loved his disciples to the end, the word is telos. This doesn't just mean he loved them up until the moment he died. It means he loved them to the purpose of that love, to its absolute fulfillment. See the difference? It's huge. Okay, so if telos is the destination, the goal, then how do we talk about the actual journey? You know, the doing part. Well, that's where we shift from nouns to verbs, from the what to the how.
Right. We've got our goal, our telos. Now let's look at the action words that actually get us there.
First up is teleo. Think of this as the get it done verb. It means to finish a task, to complete the mission you were assigned. You have a job to do, and teleo is the act of seeing it through to the end. And the most famous example of this? It's gotta be when Jesus says on the cross, "It is finished." The Greek word there is teleo. He's basically declaring, mission accomplished. The specific task I came to do, it's done. But it gets even deeper. There's another verb, teleo. Now this isn't just about finishing a task. This is about bringing something to its ultimate, perfect state. It's not just about completing something, it's about making it complete. Think of it like a sculpture, not just finishing the statue, but perfecting every detail until it's exactly what it was meant to be. It's about maturing, fulfilling potential. So you can kind of see the progression here, right? You start with the telos, that's the goal. Then you have teleo, that's the action, finishing the task to get there. And it all needs to teleo, taking that finished work and making it absolutely perfect, fulfilling its true purpose. From goal to action
to perfection.
Okay, so we've got these 4 words down. Eschatos, telos, telio, teleo. But, so what? Why is this even important? Let's tie it all together and see why this is such a game changer.
Well, it matters because without this, when you see the word end, you might just think stop. But now you can see this incredibly rich, multidimensional picture. You can ask, is this the end of a sequence? Is it the fulfillment of a purpose? Is it a task being checked off a list? Or is it something being brought to a state of absolute perfection? It just adds so much depth.
So let's boil it all down. This is the key takeaway right here. You have eschatos, which is all about sequence and just being the last one. You have telos, which is about the purpose, the big why. Then you have telio, the verb for getting the job done, for accomplishment. And finally, teleo, which is about bringing that accomplishment to perfection and fulfillment. 4 totally different concepts, all packed into that one little word, end.
Let's go back to that race analogy one more time because it really nails it. The meaning of the end completely changes depending on your focus. Are you just looking at the finish line? That's eschatos. Are you thinking about why you're running at all? That's your telos. Or are you focused on the act of running itself, finishing the race and perfecting your performance? That's where you get teleo and teleoia.
And so I want to leave you with this question to chew on. In our lives, it's so easy to focus on the finish lines, right? The eschatos, the next project, the end of the week. But it's really worth stepping back and asking, what is the telos in your life? What's the ultimate purpose, the big goal that gives all those other little ends their meaning?